Hey everybody, welcome back!
While I was sleeping in a hospital chair next to my sick son, my family didn't even ask how he was and went on vacation. A few days later, my sister tried to transfer $5,000 from my account. I just refused. Later, when they came back, they showed up at the hospital furious. So I just did this. My son was 6 years old, hooked up to an intravenous drip, burning with a 104-degree fever. And the only message I got from my family was a photo of my sister Brooke trying on a sequin dress for her birthday trip to Miami. 6 years old. Tubes in his little arm. And they sent me a party outfit photo. I'm Tamara, I'm 31, I live in Columbus, Ohio. And if you told me a year ago that I'd be ripping my own sister's hair out in a children's hospital hallway, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. And honestly, I'd do it again. Stick with me on this one because what my family did, and what I did back, you're not gonna believe it. My son Caleb is the kind of kid who never sits still. Always running, always climbing, always into something. He's got these big brown eyes that could convince you to buy him ice cream at 8 in the morning, and believe me, he's done it. He's my whole world. His dad, Derek, and I use the word dad very loosely, checked out a long time ago. Derek got it into his thick skull that Caleb isn't his son. Why? Because Caleb has lighter skin. That's it. That's the whole scientific argument from Dr. Derek over there. Never mind that my grandmother on my mom's side was light-skinned. Never mind genetics. Never mind that Caleb has Derek's exact same crooked pinky finger on his left hand. Derek decided Caleb wasn't his, and that was that. No support. No involvement. Just gone. So it's been me and Caleb against the world. I run a small online business selling handmade candles and home decor. I built it from nothing. Kitchen table at midnight, packing orders, Caleb sleeps, kind of nothing. And it grew. Good money. Enough to take care of us, enough to help my parents out sometimes. Which, oh, we'll get to that. My parents, Gloria and Raymond. I love them. But they have this thing where my younger sister Brooke can do absolutely no wrong. Brooke is 27, lives in their basement, works part-time at a nail salon, and somehow is treated like royalty. When Brooke got a promotion to senior nail tech, my mom threw her a dinner party. When I hit 6 figures in my business, my dad said, "That's nice, Tammy. Can you send Brooke some money for her car payment?" You guys know the type, right? Tell me I'm not the only one dealing with this. 3 weeks ago, Caleb started feeling off. Tired, not eating, just kind of floppy. I took him to the pediatrician, they ran tests, and the doctor's face did that thing where you know they're about to say something bad. Caleb had a serious kidney infection that had spread. They admitted him immediately to Nationwide Children's Hospital. Emergency. They don't let you go home, emergency. I was shaking so hard the nurse had to help me fill out the paperwork. So I did what any normal person would do. I messaged the family group chat. Caleb is in the hospital. It's serious. Kidney infection that spread. We're at Nationwide Children's. Please pray for him. Sent at 6:47 p.m. I know because I checked the timestamp about 400 times after. 2 hours of nothing. Then my mom replied, "Oh no, hope he feels better soon. Don't forget Brooke's birthday trip is this weekend, we fly out Friday." That was it. My son is hospitalized and she's reminding me about Brooke's Miami trip. A trip, by the way, that I sent $1,200 toward because Brooke couldn't afford her own birthday celebration. Brooke didn't respond at all. Not a word. Not even an emoji. My dad texted me privately, "Your mom says Caleb's sick. He'll be fine, kids bounce back. Don't make a big deal out of it." I sat in that hospital chair next to Caleb's bed and I cried. The ugly kind. The nurse, this amazing woman named Patricia, brought me a warm blanket and said, "Honey, sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you deserve." He was right. But it still hurt. Friday came. Caleb was still fighting. And my family flew to Miami. My mom posted a selfie at the airport. Birthday girl's entourage. While I was holding Caleb's hand because he'd woken up crying from the pain. Tell me, what would you have done? Because I just stared at that photo and felt something inside me go cold. Now here's where the universe decided to get involved. Sunday morning. Frantic call from my mom. Hysterical. "Tamara, we've been robbed. Someone broke into the hotel room and took everything. Cash, wallets, return tickets, credit cards. Everything. We're stranded." And I know this is terrible, but do you know what I felt? Nothing. Surely no. A tiny spark of something that might have been satisfaction. Judge me if you want. My mom is going, "You need to send us money. Brooke is having a panic attack." And I looked over at Caleb, asleep in his hospital bed, his little chest rising and falling, the intravenous drip still in his arm. And I said very calmly, "No." Dead silence. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean no. I'm in a hospital with my son. The one none of you asked about. The one you flew away from so Brooke could party. Figure it out." And I hung up. My hand was shaking, but it also felt like the most powerful thing I'd ever done. Was that wrong of me? Part of me thinks maybe. But the bigger part thinks they earned that no. They called 17 times that day. I let everyone go to voicemail. Brooke texted, first time in weeks. Tamara, this is serious, you have to help. I have to. Funny how I have to help you, but nobody had to check on my son. They ended up borrowing money from a stranger at the hotel lobby. A complete stranger was more willing to help them than they were to help me. Let that sink in. 4 days later. Caleb was doing a little better, still in the hospital, still fighting. I was running on coffee and vending machine crackers. And then I heard my mother's voice echoing down the hallway. Where is Tamara Jenkins's son? What room? They came marching in, Gloria, Raymond, and Brooke. No flowers. No food. No, how is he? Just fury. My mom started immediately. Do you have any idea what we went through? We were stranded for 2 days. We had to beg strangers for help. I just stared at them. So tired. And then Brooke, who hadn't asked about Caleb once this entire time, looked at him in the bed, rolled her eyes and said, honestly, Tamara, he's just a kid with a fever. You always make everything so dramatic. Meanwhile, we went through actual trauma. My birthday was ruined. And your little brat isn't even. She didn't finish. She did not finish that sentence because I was across that room so fast I don't even remember moving. I grabbed a fistful of Brooke's hair and pulled. Hard. She screamed. I pulled harder and a chunk came out in my hand. Those expensive extensions she's so obsessed with? Gone. And I'm standing there holding blonde hair like some kind of trophy while everyone's screaming, and honestly, pure chaos in a children's hospital. Security, a big guy named Marcus, came running in and separated us. Patricia held my shoulders and said, breathe, mama. Caleb's okay. I collapsed into that chair and sobbed. They escorted my parents and Brooke out. My mom was yelling about pressing charges. Brooke was crying about her hair. My dad was shaking his head like I was the problem. And not one of them looked at Caleb. Not once. My son was awake through all of it. He just looked at me with those big brown eyes and whispered, Mama, are you okay? That was the moment. That exact moment I decided everything was going to change. Because my baby asked if I was okay and nobody else in my family ever did. What I decided after that. You're going to want to hear this. Because what came next hit my family where it hurt the most. And I'm not talking about Brooke's scalp. So after that disaster at the hospital, I had a lot of time to think. And what became clear to me was that I'd been carrying my family on my back for years. And they couldn't even carry a conversation about my sick child. So I made a decision. And when I make a decision, I don't go halfway. Let me explain something. My candle business wasn't just mine anymore. About a year ago, my dad Raymond offered me his small warehouse on the east side of Columbus for storage and shipping. In exchange, I gave my parents 15% of my monthly revenue. 15%. For a warehouse. And over time, my mom Gloria worked her way into handling some of my wholesale accounts because she used to do bookkeeping. So my family was tangled up in my business like weeds in a garden. And Brooke would borrow inventory for her friends, use my business account for personal orders, and twice listed herself as my employee on rental applications without ever working a day for me. I let it all slide because they're family. Until I was sitting in that hospital realizing the sliding had to stop. 3 days after the hallway incident, Caleb was stable. Doctors said the worst was behind us. I finally exhaled. Then I opened my banking app and my stomach dropped. Pending transfer. $5,000. From my business account. Initiated by Brooke. While my son was in the hospital. While I was sleeping in a chair next to his bed. He tried to take $5,000 from me. Turns out my mom had shared financial access with Brooke behind my back. My own mother gave my sister access to my money without telling me. Can you actually? I blocked the transfer immediately. Changed every password. Locked everything down. And I wasn't sad anymore. I was done. There's a difference between being angry and being done, and I had crossed that line. Called my dad. Scary calm. Dad, I'm pulling my business out of your warehouse. Everything moved within 2 weeks. He laughed. Tammy, where are you gonna go? You need that space. I said, that's not your concern anymore. Called my mom next. You're removed from all my accounts. I know about the $5,000 Brooke tried to take. My mom stammered, then said, that was a misunderstanding. Brooke needed rent money. I told her she could borrow it. It's family money anyway. Family money. The money I earned. From the business I built. While they were in Miami. Am I crazy, or is that the most delusional thing you've ever heard? I just said, we're done, Mom, and hung up. Cutting business ties with family sounds simple. It's not. My dad called daily, not to apologize, to threaten. Said he'd charge me for breach of agreement. There was no written agreement. Just a handshake. My mom left voicemails crying about how I was tearing the family apart. Me. Not the people who ignored my sick son and stole my money. Me. And Brooke went on social media. Posted a long dramatic story about her toxic sister punishing the family. Got 200 comments saying, "Stay strong, queen." I almost threw my phone across the room. But here's what I did instead. I got strategic. There was someone who'd wanted to work with me for months. Jolene Parker. She runs a boutique distribution company out of Cincinnati. She's sharp, she's professional, and here's the fun part. My family absolutely cannot stand her. Why? Jolene used to date my Uncle Hank. Messy breakup years ago, and my family treated her like a villain ever since. My mom called her that woman. Brooke said she had bad energy. Coming from someone who tried to steal $5,000 from her own sister, that's rich. Jolene had reached out months ago about distributing my products through her boutique network across the Midwest. Great opportunity. And I'd been saying no purely to keep the peace with people who wouldn't even text me back when my kid was hospitalized. How dumb was that? I called Jolene. We met for coffee. She laid out a plan that would double my reach in 6 months. And she didn't ask for 15%. She asked for 8. Fair terms, actual warehouse space, climate controlled. Unlike my dad's place where my candles were literally melting every summer. I signed with Jolene that week. Moved everything out of my dad's warehouse. Then my family found out. My mom called screaming. "You're working with Jolene Parker. After everything she did to this family." I said, "What did she do, Mom?" "She dated Uncle Hank and they broke up." "That's not a crime." "You know what's close to a crime? Your other daughter trying to take $5,000 from my account." And I hung up. My dad showed up at my house. Stood on my porch looking like a thundercloud. "You're making a huge mistake, Tammy." I said, "Dad, the only people who've tried to ruin me share my last name. And your warehouse smelled like mildew." Probably didn't need that last part. But sometimes pettiness is self-care. Without my business running through their lives, things started falling apart. That 15% my dad had been getting? He'd been relying on it way more than he let on. Bills stacking up. My mom, without the bookkeeping work, got anxious and anxiety made her mean. He started picking fights with my dad. My dad started picking fights with everyone. And through all of it, they sided with Brooke. So, my dad said, "She made a mistake, but she's your sister." Brooke never apologized. She told my cousin Renee I overreacted about the money thing. Like $5,000 is a misplaced quarter. So I blocked all 3 of them. Phone, social media, everything. And for the first time my phone was quiet. It was peaceful. No guilt trips. No passive-aggressive voicemails. Caleb, because he's the one who actually matters, was getting stronger every day. The antibiotics were working. He started asking for chicken nuggets, which Nurse Patricia said was the universal sign a kid's on the mend. That boy demolished a 6-piece like he hadn't eaten in a month. I started thinking maybe this is how it's supposed to be. Just me, Caleb, Jolene's distribution deal, and quiet. Maybe walking away was the right call. But my family wasn't done. Because when people lose control over someone they've been using for years, they don't just let go. They escalate. And what happened next, even I didn't see it coming. So remember how I said my family escalates? They really outdid themselves. 2 weeks after I cut them off, my landlord called. Someone had reported me for running an illegal business out of my apartment. Storing hazardous chemicals, meaning my candle supplies. A fire hazard, they said. Guess who made that call? He said all 3 of them working as a team. You're catching on. My landlord Gil is a reasonable man. He'd been to my apartment. He knew it was nonsense. But he had to let me know. I sat on my couch and just laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was so pathetic. They couldn't get my money. They couldn't guilt me back. So they tried to get me evicted. These are grown adults with gray hair. But here's the thing about people who keep poking. That same week Jolene called with news. One of her contacts, a woman named Diane who owns a chain of gift boutiques across Ohio and Indiana, wanted to carry my entire candle line. Exclusively. Diane's stores are in malls, downtown districts, tourist areas. Real visibility. Real money. We met, she loved my products. Said my lavender and honey candle reminded her of her grandmother's house. We signed paperwork. My little kitchen table business was about to be in 37 stores. And Caleb came home from the hospital that same week. Best business news of my life and my baby coming home same week. He walked through the door and went straight for his toy bin like nothing happened. His first priority was finding his dinosaur. Kids are unbelievable. I just stood there crying. Happy tears this time. Patricia, his nurse, had given me her number before discharge. I sent her my lavender and honey candle. She texted me a photo of it lit on her nightstand. Smells like good people. I'm not crying, you're crying. Around this time my cousin Renee called. She'd been neutral through everything, trying to stay out of it. She said, "Your dad can't pay the warehouse bills. He's talking about selling. Your mom barely sleeps. And Brooke got fired from the nail salon." My first reaction was, good. My second was guilt. My third was, no, actually good. Is that terrible? Maybe. But I'd earned it. Renee said, "They know they messed up. They're just too proud to say it." I said, "Renee, pride isn't the problem. Choices are the problem." Caleb was in the hospital and they went to Miami. Brooke tried to steal $5,000. They tried to get me evicted. She didn't push. Just said, "I hear you." Weeks went by. Business was booming. Diane's store started placing reorders within 10 days. I hired 2 part-time employees, a college girl named Maya and a retired teacher named Donna. I was working hard but happy. Caleb was back to his tornado self. Life was good. Then one Tuesday, dropping Caleb off at school, I saw my dad's truck parked across the street. Just sitting there. He wasn't getting out. Just watching. Something made me walk over and knock on his window. He looked terrible. Older. Tired. He rolled the window down and said, "He's gotten so big." His voice cracked. My dad, Raymond, who never cries, who thinks emotions are weakness. His voice cracked watching his grandson walk into school. I said, "Yeah, his. You missed it." That landed. He looked at his steering wheel and said, "I know I messed up, Tammy. Your mother and I got it wrong. We always believe Brooke. And I'm starting to see that maybe Brooke doesn't always tell the truth." I just listened. He said, "I'm not asking you to forgive us right now. But I want you to know I see you. I see what you built. I see how you take care of that boy. And I'm proud of you even though I never said it when it mattered." I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. Because that's all I'd ever wanted. Not money. Not a warehouse. Just my dad saying he saw me. I told him, "Words are easy, Dad. I need real change. Not a speech in a parking lot and then back to business as usual." He nodded and drove away. Few days later, my mom showed up. Without Brooke. Already progress. She looked exhausted. We sat on my porch for 2 hours. She admitted she'd been favoring Brooke for years because Brooke reminded her of herself. Insecure, needing validation. She said, "I thought giving Brooke enough love would make her confident. But I just taught her she could do anything without consequences. And I taught you that your feelings didn't matter. I'm so sorry, Tamara." That one cracked me open. But I didn't let her off easy. "Mom, sorry is a start. But you gave Brooke access to my money. You ignored Caleb. You tried to get me evicted. Showing up differently is what fixes this. He asked to see Caleb." I said not yet. She needed to earn that. And she accepted it without arguing, which told me something had actually shifted. Brooke came last. About a week later. She didn't come with excuses. She came with a handwritten letter. 3 pages. She admitted everything. The money, the entitlement, the social media posts, the landlord call. She wrote, "You were the only one who told me no and I hated you for it. But you were right." I read it twice and said, "Good letter, Brooke. But letters are paper. I need to see this in real life. Not for a week. For good." She said she was starting therapy. For real this time. We didn't hug. It wasn't a movie moment. But it was honest. And honest was new for us. I didn't forgive them overnight. I'm still not fully there, and that's okay. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's more like a sunrise. Slow, sometimes cloudy. But we're trying. My parents come to Caleb's soccer games now. My dad built him a bookshelf by hand without being asked. Brooke is actually going to therapy and got a new job at a wellness center. My business is thriving. Jolene and I are expanding into 3 new states. Diane wants a holiday collection. And Caleb, my beautiful, stubborn, chicken nugget-obsessed boy, is completely healthy. Running around like a maniac. Exactly as he should be. So if you're going through something similar, if the people who are supposed to love you the hardest let you down the easiest, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to walk away. And you're allowed to come back on your own terms when you're ready. That's your choice. Alright, that's my story. If you made it this far, thank you. Seriously, it means a lot to just be heard. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. It really helps more than you'd think. And if something bothered you or you would have done things differently, please share your thoughts in the comments. No judgment. We're all just figuring it out. Thank you so much for watching and for spending your time with me and Caleb's story. Take care of yourselves and the people who actually show up for you. Who actually show up for you. Who actually show up for you.
Genuinely remorseful and kept apologizing. But I couldn't shake that feeling of betrayal. Like, not only was he doing all of this, like, on your wedding day, like, was he really gonna go and, like, look at his phone and, like, text this other woman on your wedding day? He basically thinks your feelings are a joke. He admitted that he had doubts, but he insisted that he loved me and wanted to make our marriage work. I told him I needed time to think, and since then I've been staying with a close friend while I sort through my emotions. Listen, it is okay to have doubts about your relationship. Lots of people have doubts. Lots of people get pre-wedding jitters. They get scared being with one person, but you don't cheat. You just don't. Now I'm torn. Did I overreact by leaving on our wedding day? Should I have confronted him then and there, or did I do the right thing by taking a step back to gather my thoughts? I feel like you were actually quite considerate of his feelings and everybody else at the party by just like quietly leaving. There are a lot of people out there that would
raise hell when they saw that.
My goodness. I feel guilty for leaving in such a dramatic way. You didn't though. Like, you were not dramatic at all. Like, I feel like you were quite poised in how you handled this. But I also feel justified in needing time to process such a huge revelation. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband on our wedding day? Honestly, no. No, you're not. Like, I'm sorry that it had to happen on your wedding day. That really sucks. It sucks that he couldn't figure his out before and you guys could have broken up, or, you know, he could have been sure about you before you guys got married. I just feel like all of this could have been avoided. And just because you made the decision to leave on the wedding day, yes, but like, you wouldn't have done that if you didn't encounter, like, the conversation is one thing, the cheating is another thing. It's both things that you discovered one after the other on your wedding day. If anybody doubts you, just send out a text blast. Send out a text blast so everybody knows exactly what happened. I still can't believe that some people are saying that you should like work on the relationship. Like, he just shows no respect to you whatsoever.
Huh?
Snoo Advice said, get an annulment and an STD panel, that's all. Yep. This, and sue him for the cost of the wedding. Literally, like, why would you go through that? Weddings are so expensive. They are so time consuming for everyone else involved as well. Please, for the love of God, please, if you